So, hello Achiever, today we are with a new guest. We are still in New York for the project Unleash That Potential, and today we are with Dan Schaefer. He is a peak performance expert, and today he will answer my questions about success and how to become a winner. And so, thank you very much to be
Very
here.
nice to meet you.
How are you?
Great.
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 It's awesome.
Fantastic.
I'd like you maybe to introduce yourself more.
Okay. So I'm a business and sports psychologist. My focus is winning. I only work with people who want to win, who have a desire to win and will do what's necessary to win. And that's both in sports and business. So my clients today are professional athletes in football, soccer, boxing, mixed martial arts, ultrarunning, sharpshooting, that whole area, based on focus and concentration. The business people are in businesses all around in the world. I have clients in 16 countries, and also we work on business strategies. So it's not the actual function and operation of the business, but I work on a strategy that's behind making something happen. Every client that I have today is in 2018 working backwards. I really only work backwards. Where do you want to be? You let your subconscious mind identify where you want to be, and then you just have to get out of its way and not do anything to disrupt that process. So in many cases, when people ask me what I do, is I tell them that I sell mistakes. That it's easier to buy mistakes from me than to make them yourself. When you make them yourself, it costs a lot more money.
Okay, great. My first question I would like to ask you is, what are peak performance strategies?
It's all of the things that you need to put together to get an edge and excel over someone else. Because winning is about, there's only one winner. And if you want to be that winner, you have to figure what you need to put together to do that. So to give you an example, we look at athletes, we'll look at student athletes. Some of the people looking at this may have children in school who have athletes who want to play professionally. One of the biggest issues in college, for example, and there are three of them: on-field performance. Can the person perform well on the field when they step over the white line and the game starts? What do they need to do that? The second piece really is academic excellence. They have to be really good at academics so that the school will allow them to play. And then the third item is off-field behavior. You only need to read the papers here, anywhere in the world, to find out how athletes can discover ways to destroy their career and their reputation. So the focus of everything that I do for everyone, you, myself, anybody who's watching this, is everybody is in business for themselves. Everybody has their own company. Every person is a CEO of their own company. And when somebody accepts the fact that they're the CEO of their own company, and every decision they make is a business decision, not a social decision. So what somebody eats, what they drink, what they smoke, who they're seen with, what they put on Facebook, how they talk to people, what they do, are all business decisions if they see themselves as the CEO of their own company. And that seems to help some people look at their performance as being really important.
Yes, and what advice could you give to reach this kind of performance?
First thing is that what people, I believe, need to do is, well, let's come back, let me let an athlete talk to you.
Yes.
I would say to a professional football player, what do you need to do? And they say,
when you mean football, you
football,
mean American football.
American football.
Yes.
What do you need to do? I need to increase my concentration. Okay.
The ability to focus?
Increase my concentration, the ability to focus. I would say, okay, what is in the way of you increasing your concentration? They say, I get distracted. Now what I would suggest people do who are watching this, and I can describe it to them very simply, just sit up straight in your chair, start to move your foot clockwise, your right foot clockwise, around and round and round and round.
You can do it.
You can do it. Okay, so you start to do this. Now with your right hand, draw a big number 6 in the air. Big number 6, see how your foot go backwards? So the fact is what that little exercise shows you is that if you want to perform well, you can't afford a second of distraction. So the most important thing is knowing that distraction contaminates performance. Then the question is how quickly do you want to notice when you're distracted? You have to know it right away. And so the point is, can you identify your distraction very quickly? Know when you're off, know when you're not on your game. Now, I talk about a hockey goaltender, American ice hockey goaltender, who I said to him, what's it like when you perform at your best? What's your peak performance zone that people talk about? He said, when I'm performing at my best, he said, I don't hear any crowds. So even though the crowd could be roaring, I don't hear it. The puck, which is usually this big, is now the size of a dinner plate, and the game moves very slowly. Anytime one of those three things change, he says, I know I'm losing my focus. So I need a way to get back in again. How do I get back in again? And they want to control it. Most athletes, I find, if they feel themselves losing their focus, they don't have a way to get back in. And that's what the book is about, is ways that people need to know when they're competitive edge. The foreword to this book was written by Chad Pennington, who was an American football quarterback for the New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins. And we worked on those issues, focus and concentration.
And so, do you think the concentration is one of the biggest things you have to develop to be performant?
Yes.
And for example, for a CEO, I know you mean everybody is CEO, but for example, I have my own company.
Right.
And sometimes I do one thing, in the same time I do another things. Do you think the ability to do only one thing, it's something we have to develop?
I think that I've worked with global companies. What's interesting is that I found CEOs of companies, very successful people, find it very difficult to tell me what they do well. They can tell me what they accomplish, but how they do it is in their unconscious competence. You're familiar with unconscious competence? When the levels of learning are unconscious incompetence, which means I don't know anything, and I don't know that I don't know anything. And we run into those people all the time, don't you? Then you get the conscious incompetence. You know what you know, and you know what you don't know. Then you get the unconscious competence, where you do stuff automatically. Well, if you do stuff automatically, if you own a company and you do what you do automatically, and you don't know that you do it, then you can't teach me if you're trying to help me duplicate you or be as effective as you are in your company. So you need to identify what you do well. So a lot of this comes back to helping a person identify what they do well. They have to complement themselves, they have to know what they do well, and they have to perform well. And then they know when they're on. So the idea is, and one of the things that I have is I have a system where a person, rather than take everything they have to do in a day or with a company and put it into a big stew where the vegetables are in with the meat and everything, they need to be able to separate it. So they put it in different silos. So you can go from one item to the other item to the other item to the other item and make decisions on those things, but know when you're not in one. So I'm thinking about this light that's here, but I'm not going to think about the book that's in your hand because I want to focus on the light. And when I come over and think about the book, I'm aware that the light's there, but I'm not going to think about the light. How much does that cost an executive not to think that way? I don't know. He has to look at it himself. But what I always ask business people, there are a lot of successful business people in this world. When something works well and it's working, okay, fine. But if something's not working, if you have all the skill and talent and motivation and drive for success and something's not working, then something is in the way. And the question is, how quickly can you identify something that's in the way and move it out of the way? I use hypnosis a lot to make that happen because people can discover very quickly what's in the way. I'll give you an example. There's a real estate developer here in the city who develops commercial real estate. He's one of the biggest, very wealthy man. And we were working on some negotiation strategies that he had with a couple of deals that he was working on. In the course of the conversation, he said to me, I play golf, and I'm a 12 handicap golfer. 12 handicap is a good golfer. He said, but I can't play well 50 yards in. So 50 yards away from the hole, I have trouble playing well. But not all the time, just sometimes. And he said, it bothers me. We looked at the whole situation, spent about 4 weeks, and what we discovered is the only time that he has difficulty 50 yards in is when he's playing against somebody who makes more money than he does. He makes high 7 figures. So he's a very wealthy man who's intimidated by somebody who's wealthier than he is. So now you come back to your corporate clients, people that you try to motivate and work with. What's it like for somebody who's trying to sell, for example, to somebody wealthier than they are? It's not easy, it's an obstacle. But most of these obstacles are invisible. People don't see them.
Yes. So what he can do to switch and to be to have good feeling when he is with the people who are more rich than him.
Well, the biggest distraction that athletes have said to me that they have, and people in general, is the way they talk to themselves. Self-talk is very, very contaminating if it's negative, if somebody's constantly beating themselves up for their performance. So
I'm bad, I will lose, it's the end.
Yeah, I'm terrible, I'm not good, you know, all of those things. If that tape, if somebody likes to listen to that tape over and over and over and over again, be my guest. I don't want to listen to it. So most people don't have a way to turn it off. I use an example. If you were driving from here, I know you're going to Chicago from here. If you were driving from here to Chicago in a car, and you went down and picked a car up downstairs that had on a radio station that you didn't like, and you got music that you didn't like, what would you do? You turn it right off. People can't turn off that tape in their head because they don't have another station. So they need to create. They need to create another station. So I have people.
Do you think it can work to, for example, you are angry, and do you think it can work to say positive things without feel the sensation? For example, you have bad feeling and you say, I'm good, I will succeed. Do you think it can work without feel the what you are saying?
That's a great question.
For example, tomorrow, this morning, I had an interview with an American, with a wealthy American man this morning, and my Skype didn't work, and it was hard for me because I prepared that, and I know I have a commitment with him, and the fact I'm not able to be connected, I felt and I felt bad emotion. It could be works according to you that say it's funny, or what can I do? For example, just before, what could I do? I don't know how to say.
I understand what you're saying. And that's also a great question because, you know, you have people who, anger is a big issue that I deal with. Anger in business, anger in sports. And one of my top clients is one of this country's top ultramarathon runners. She runs 135 miles through Death Valley in the summer. But she's also a mixed martial arts cage fighter. And she came to me probably 14 years ago because she said she was running this 135 miles through the desert. She was 30 miles into the run, and one of her support crew had done something that she wasn't happy with. Now, she's a U.S. Marine, and so she got very angry. And she said to me, what I found was that I tried to carry anger for 100 miles. She said, it drained me. She said, I didn't perform as well as I should. So emotion gets in the way of performance. Point is that I have no trouble with a hockey player or somebody getting angry. I think anger is appropriate. It's how you express it, where you express it, and how long you carry it. So if I said to her, I have no trouble with you getting angry on this run, but for you to deal with the anger, I need you to take the anger, put it in a box, put it in the trunk of your car, and deal with it when you come off the run. You can't deal with it now. It gets in the way. A football player who has an American football player who has a bad play, if he focuses on the bad play, he's dividing his attention between the play that just happened that he can't do anything about and the next one that's coming up. Stuff happens way too fast. And that's why I use sports as an analogy and as a sample, because whatever happens in business happens in sports, only faster. So if you can take what an athlete does and bring it into business, it's a home run. American baseball home run.
Yes, if you develop the ability to switch very quickly, and you transform what you did before in doing something very well just after. That's right.
Yep. But the key is you have to know when you're off. You have to know when you're getting dragged down. So this morning, you recognize the anger. You got a choice. You can get really angry, which is going to accomplish it. It's an appropriate feeling for what happened. But letting it get in the way of that interview or this interview sets you back.
I read something about Tiger Woods. I didn't check if it's true, but what do you see? I read about Tiger Woods that he have 3 or 10 seconds when he leave fully his anger, he's hungry, and then he switch. It can be a good advice to have 1, 2, 3 seconds to leave fully the emotion and switch.
Yeah, sure. Whatever works for you. If that works for him, fine. My question is where do you express the anger? I had a hockey player, a goalie, who got angry. Excuse me. He would express the anger on the ice, in front of the cameras, in front of the fans, in front of families. Useless. Destroys his reputation. People think he's nuts. You express the anger someplace else. So it's, can you identify the emotion, agree with the fact that, okay, it's appropriate that I'm angry, but I'm not going to deal with it now. I'm going to deal with it someplace else. I deal with people who are in financial services, who are brokers and traders and trade currencies, and it becomes very interesting because they've said to me, if I feel emotion in a trade, I know I'm in trouble. I want to have a clear mind that's coming right at you with this trade, not an emotion that's going to drag me off.
Okay, thanks a lot.
So and I believe that high-performing people, I mean, clearly you must have ways to deal with yourself when you get up and you present that other people would find astounding. And what do you do to get yourself into a zone? What do you do to get yourself prepared? And if you miss a word or something happens in an audience, you already have a way to deal with that. Most other people don't.
Yes.
So that's what makes you different than the other people. That's where the edge is. See, people think that the competitive edge is this big. The competitive edge is this big.
Yes.
That's what I did with the book, is find what people you did to get an edge.
And about that, we are talking about success and how to win. Do you have advices to succeed without stress?
No, not necessarily. Sometimes stress, there's good stress and bad stress. I think that sometimes people need a certain level of stress to win. Success to me is momentum plus what is it that I say? Momentum plus imagination.
Cool.
Because you can't move towards something that you can't imagine. I mean, I could give you a bunch of arrows here and a bow and say, shoot it at the target. And you'd say, fine, where's the target? No target. Many people are shooting arrows, no targets. So the subconscious mind, which is engaged by imagination, it's very interesting. Subconscious mind must act out every thought, image, or idea you put into it.
And so, how can we use every day and alone our subconscious mind? Do you have some tools, some rituals, some habits we can develop every day alone to use our subconscious?
Yes, I had given you a small card that has has a statement on the back of the card, and the statement says, "Every day in every way, I get better and better and better."
Yes.
Now, you can certainly use this and other affirmations that people use. I find it very, very helpful. But this is in particular interesting if it's done at night before you go to sleep. 10 times a night, 60 days straight, just before you go to sleep. The last thing you think about just before you go to sleep is repeat it over and over and over again by your subconscious mind. So if people go to bed with worry or concern or feeling badly about themselves or their performance, that's what's going to be repeated over and over again. This works exceptionally well with children. Kids down is 5. I have clients who take them and give them to their kids who are 5 years old, and use them. And they give them a 2-month calendar, and they check them off as it comes out. And whatever the kid wants to get better at, sports, academics, dance, gymnastics, doesn't make any difference.
And on your website, I saw something about top sports performers, and you were talking about 4 secrets for top performer. What are the 4 secrets for the top sports performers?
Sports and business. You have to control your self-talk. Listen to the way you talk to yourself. You have to prepare to compete. Many people don't prepare to compete. You need to recover well when things don't go well. And those are really the 3 top ones. Self-talk, identify and control distraction. You have to know what's distracting you, control it and move it. Recover well, so when something happens, you know, when a football player or a soccer player gets knocked down, he doesn't stay on the ground, he gets right back up again. The business person, sometimes, or the salesperson, if they get knocked down, sometimes they stay down. You can't accomplish anything from the ground. So it's knowing what works for you. But those really are the kind of keys that people have. And why do I take it from sports and bring it back into business? Because that's where people make their living. That's what's really important. But the athlete, everything happens very quickly. And they've got strategies to get themselves back in and to focus quickly.
And what's the first key?
Excuse me?
What's the first key?
Control self-talk.
Ah, yes, control self-talk.
So you have to, people need to...
So yeah, there is self-talk, the ability to talk with yourself differently.
Right.
The ability to identify your lack of concentration.
Right.
The ability to switch.
Prepare to compete.
Prepare to compete.
And then to get yourself back in when you've been knocked down, when you have a failure, when something doesn't work well.
To recover very
quick recovery.
Yes, okay. So if you learn from sports and you do the same in CEO or with your family, with your children, it can be very. You can have more performance in every domain if you do these 4 secrets.
Chances are better.
Yes.
The chances are better. There are no guarantees in it with any of the things that I do or that you do, because in reality, you can give somebody some instruction and they may not do anything. They might do it. You know, one of the biggest issues with performance strategies and workshops and clinics and things that I do with athletes is some people will take the advice and use it, others won't. And there are many who take it and use it and will never ever talk about it.
Yes.
I have many athletes who don't talk about what we do together because it's their edge. They work very, very hard to get an edge. They will not give it away. They won't give it away.
I understand.
It's like corporate secrets. People don't reveal their corporate secrets.
What do you think about that?
I think if I've worked very hard to get some secrets to help my clients, and I'm in business, I'm not likely to give my secrets to my competition.
Yes.
That's just the reality,
Okay.
And the expectation that somebody else will do that, it's probably not likely that that's what'll happen. But you never know.
Yes, you never know.
Except that, it comes back to what results are. And, it's interesting. I don't know if you play golf, but golf is
I will do in July, maybe.
Okay. Well, I have a program where I guarantee golfers 3 to 6 strokes with their golf game without touching a club. And once you start to play, if you know how to play, you can dramatically improve your golf game without touching a club with some mental strategies. And here's what my philosophy is. If the golf swing takes 3 seconds, if you shoot 100, you have 5 minutes on a whole round of golf to concentrate. You only have to concentrate for 5 minutes. You have to concentrate just when you're up over the ball before you hit it. That's all, 5 minutes. If you shoot at 80, it's 4 minutes. If you shoot par, it's probably 3.5 minutes. The point is that people try to concentrate all over the place, and they waste their time. So some of the people I've worked with will come in and just shut their mind down just before they hit the ball.
So I'm very interested about golf. What could be the keys for golfer to be performant?
Improve performance?
Yes.
First thing they need to do is, first of all, I have a whole program around this, and I have an analysis that I will send you since you play. But what I tell people to do is to put their golf clubs in the middle of a room, turn the lights down, get out a piece of paper, or use this survey, and pick each club out of the bag one at a time, and write down on the paper what the club says to you when you touch it. The minute you touch it, what does that particular club say to you? Then you come to a round of golf, and you see a golf hole. What does this hole say to you? If you've played and you stood up and there's a big lake in front of you, what does the lake say to you? I don't want to hit the ball into the lake. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
One of the interesting things about the subconscious and commands and the self-talk is that your subconscious mind, from where your performance comes, never hears a negative command. It doesn't know what no means. So when you say to your subconscious mind, I don't want to hit the ball into the water, your subconscious mind hears hit the ball into the water.
Yes.
So does it help someone to tell themselves what they don't want to have happen? No, it doesn't. So it's important when you hear yourself talk to yourself, it's like you want to eavesdrop on yourself. You want to listen to what you say to yourself as you talk. And that's tremendously helpful to people who want to improve their performance.
So the first key is the exercise with the golf, each golf. And what could be the second?
Find out what you're taking onto the golf course that doesn't belong there. Are you taking on problems that you've had at your office? Are you taking on problems that you've had with your family or relationships? Are you taking on the last time you played golf that it was terrible? What do you take onto the golf course with you that doesn't belong there? So I have a card. It's called a trunk card, like the trunk of a car. And people write on the card everything that's bothering them that day or that time. They put it in the trunk of their car and they slam the trunk. Boom. Then if they start to think about that when they're out playing golf, they say trunk, trunk. So you can move things that you don't want to distract you right now. It's the same thing like worry. Do you worry about anything?
Yes.
Okay. Does worry is a huge distractor? Worry can distract you? Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay. What if you decided you wanted to control worry rather than worry control you? Because right now, if you're like most other people, you start to worry whenever worry comes in. You know, something will happen, you worry about it. What if you decided you want to control worry? And you said, I'm going to pick a time today between 4 o'clock and 4:15. I'm going to do nothing but worry from 4 o'clock to 4:15. And then you start to worry at 9 o'clock in the morning. You go 4:15, 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock, worry at 4 o'clock, worry at 4 o'clock. You notice that the worry is there because the worry is distracting you from what you're doing right now, just like your foot going around. So you move it out of the way. Does it work for everybody? No, but it's interesting. People have said to me, you know, you told me that, I've done that, and I'm able to control worry. It doesn't bother me. I'm going to worry at 4 o'clock, and then you get at 4 o'clock. You have to sit down at 4 o'clock and worry about something. Because your subconscious mind won't play the game. It won't let you take it. If you say, I'm going to take it from here at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to put it in 4:30 in the afternoon, and then at 4:30 in the afternoon, you don't show up with it, it's not going to play the game with you.
So you have to play the game.
You got to play the game, yeah. Go worry at 4 o'clock. You'll probably get there. You won't be able to think of anything to worry about.
And when do you know you have to stop to do the exercise?
When do you have to do what?
Today, do you do this exercise, or did you stop it?
Well, I'll tell you what happens. It's very interesting. I have some strategies to show people how to knock their stress down just by blinking their eyes, and how to shut their mind down, and how to focus and concentrate instantly. If I were to say to you, I could show you now how to knock your stress down by blinking your eyes, you'd have to say, okay, I like the idea of controlling my stress. So I'm stressed. I feel stressed now. I teach you the strategy. Your stress drops. And she says, that worked really well. I'd like to do more of that. I'd like to learn how to do that. For a professional athlete whose livelihood depends on being able to control these things, it takes 4 months for him to get from, I want to try it now, to the time in 4 months when it's happening automatically by itself. Much less stress, doesn't even know why, not even aware of it. It's reinforced over a period of time. It's reinforced with hypnosis. We do a lot of that. A person will go out and they're skeptical. See, one of the biggest obstacles to everything that I do and that you do is the audience is being skeptical about what you're telling them to do. Skepticism is a great thing if you control it. But if you don't control it and you let skepticism control you, then you're in a different planet. So if someone comes to one of your workshops or one of your talks and they're skeptical all the time you're talking, they're getting nothing out of what you give them, nothing. But if they say, you know what, I'm aware I'm skeptical, but I'm going to be skeptical 3 months from now. So take a calendar out, put a date down. So I'm going to be skeptical in, I don't know, August 15th. Then they have 3 or 4 months or 5 months to try what you're suggesting, or what I suggest, and see if it works. Then become skeptical. Why, if they come to your workshops and they pay to come and they pay to hear you and they value what you say, would they let skepticism shut them off? So control skepticism. It's great. You can turn it on anytime you want. Just don't let it turn itself on.
Yes. So you try and you see after.
Right, but you need to know what's happening, and that's the issue. Is most people don't know what's happening or don't pay attention that it's happening.
Yes, they are on automatic in an automatic mode.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
And it's not important enough to them to be able to focus on it.
And I have another question about visualization. What is I know, but what is visualization and how you use it?
How do I use it?
How we can use it?
How you can use it? It comes back to subconscious mind again. Visualization is, and you know, there's a period of time. I don't know what you were taught coming from France as a young man about paying attention, daydreaming. Do you know what daydreaming is? You've heard daydreaming? Okay. It's where you start to visualize and dream about something, and you
Okay.
kind of get distracted. So they'll tell children, don't daydream. We were told, you know, don't daydream, pay attention. When what we've discovered is that the way you create your future, the way you create your company, the way somebody who's watching this either creates an athletic performance, they visualize the outcome they want. It seems a little silly that someone would sit down and imagine a performance and imagine themselves doing a performance. However, the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between whether you actually did a performance or whether you visualized the performance. So the way I use visualization and also recall of situations is, again, I'll use an example with my hockey players. If a hockey player, a hockey goaltender, says, excuse me, I want to, I have these images of me playing and not playing well. And I said, well, do you like that image? They say, no. I said, why don't you create a best saves video in your mind of a perfect play. So you take the best save, your best play you ever made, you close your eyes, you imagine it. When you see it happening, you burn it into a DVD in your brain so that whenever you need to recall it, you recall it. You turn it on. You do it like we're doing it now, face to face. You do it with a camera, imagining that you see yourself from above looking down. And you can watch yourself from different perspectives. So if you're a slalom skier, you can watch yourself skiing a slalom run.
So you imagine something, or you visualize a past moment.
You can do either. You can visualize. If you see, since your subconscious mind remembers everything you did, so if you have that perfect image of the perfect save as a hockey player, or the perfect goal as a football player, then you can recall it. So you recall it, and you play it over and over and over and over again. Now I'll tell you how I used, just recently, how I used visualization with a triathlete. Woman triathlete was having some difficulty with the swim portion of her triathlon, because she had been run over in, you know, with the crowds of people swimming. Somebody just run right over her once, and she became frightened and phobic about swimming. So I said, you can do a couple of things. You can either worry about the swim, or you can practice the swim over and over and over and over again before you ever get into the water. How would you do that? I said, well, you can imagine yourself swimming behind yourself, watching yourself swim going forward.
And about the the image, because we don't have the same ability to visualize image, picture,
Right?
and some people have some difficulties to build a picture in their mind. Is it important to have a precise picture when you?
I don't think so, because you're right. I don't think everybody. Some people say they can't visualize. I mean, so you might even have some people watching this and say, "Well, I can't visualize." So I'll give you a little exercise that somebody can do. You just close your eyes for a minute and think about a picture of an apple. Okay? With your eyes closed, what color is the apple? Is it red or is it green? They'll say it's red. Okay. Does it have a stem on top or no stem? It has a stem. So now they picture an apple with a stem on top. Now I'd like you to take that apple, I'd like you to put it on your dining room table. Can you put it in the middle of your dining room table? Yes. Can you take that apple and put it on the stand next to your bed? Yes, I can do that. Okay. Then if you can do that, you can visualize. Because you saw the apple. And if you didn't, you imagine one.
They saw because you are telling a story like that. So you have to tell one strategies to make a picture can be to tell ourselves something.
I think for somebody to do that, they have to work on it. There's a period of time with all of this, the self-talk, the self-hypnosis, the focus and concentration, all of these things, where everybody, most people, no, some people are going to feel like an idiot. Oh my God, what am I doing? It's so stupid for me to sit here with my eyes closed thinking about this stuff. It's never going to work. Okay, those people go away. The people who stick with it find out that it really works. I have a client who I spoke about before who runs the Badwater. It's a 135-mile race through Death Valley. You can either run that race, but I've been with her when she's run that race under hypnosis, probably in about 40 minutes, where she could see the whole race, step by step by step by step by step. I worked with a mixed martial arts fighter and a professional heavyweight prize fighter who could see his combinations in a fight and go out and see them done. I've seen skiers who can run a ski run at night. I've had golfers who will play a whole round of golf in, 8 minutes by just closing their eyes, getting very relaxed, and take them through one hole after the other and hitting the ball exactly the way they want it hit. Every shot perfect. Now, it's a nasty day out. You're in the middle of New York City. It would be a challenge for you to go get some golf clubs and go out and play around a golf, although it's possible. But you could play golf. You could play around a golf tonight perfectly, every time, by watching yourself play.
And for example, I'm not an athlete. Do I have to do visualization every day?
No. It depends what you want to accomplish. The closer if you're not an athlete, I think these tools are like tools in your toolbox. I believe that, and that's one of the things I pointed out in the book, is everybody has a toolbox. You came to the United States with a toolbox. You're familiar, very familiar. You're very familiar with some of the tools that are in the toolbox. There are other tools in the toolbox that you don't even know are there because you use them so well you don't even think you're using them, but you are using them. The objective is to leave the United States throwing more tools and new tools into the toolbox. But they're all there. You only can use what you know is there.
Okay.
Most people don't know what they don't know.
Yes. We don't know what we don't know.
Right. And, a very interesting comment I heard some years ago, and they said, every time you hear your own voice, you're learning nothing. Because you can only talk about what you know. So if I wanted to learn a lot about what you did, if this wasn't an interview for me, I would be asking you what you did, why you did what you did, what's your why, what accomplishments do you get, how does it feel to work with your client base, how does it feel to work with your audience, why your audience contacts you, why they bring you, what challenges you have with business, what challenges you have with other people. That way I could learn about you.
Yes.
So you're going to send me a whole article about yourself, and you're going to tell me all about yourself.
Okay. How often do you use visualization for you?
Me? uh, it's a great question, and I don't know. I don't consciously use vision. I think that the stuff that I do, that I teach people, that I teach my clients, I do it automatically. I think it's cranking all the time with me, and I'm not even aware of it.
Okay, but currently you don't take a conscious time to and
Not to do visualization.
do you think it could improve your success to do it consciously?
If the visualization that I had was around a presentation, for example, if I wanted to visualize myself getting up and doing an introduction at a thing, I would use it for that. It would definitely improve it.
Okay, you use it for special events.
I use it for special events. I only take a tool out of the toolbox, my toolbox, when I need it. Other than that, I leave it in the toolbox. I know it's there.
For example, I have one of my goals for in 6 or 8 months is to do conferences and speeches in America, in United States, in English. So
Okay.
okay, do you think it could be a good thing to visualize every day, for example, until the 6 months, until I did it, until I will do it?
Yeah. But I think you could, if you're going to create the picture of yourself giving presentations, describe the scene that you're going to describe for me. What would you watch?
Now,
Yeah, now what would you be doing? What would you see? Close your eyes, what would you see?
I am seeing me entering on the scene, on the
Okay. Stage?
on stage. Yes, right.
Okay, so you walk up the steps, and you walk out in front of a podium if you use one. If you don't use a podium,
Yes, I'm on a podium.
okay,
I'm looking a scene like a theater.
okay. And so when you look out into the audience, you see the audience, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's
Now,
blur. It's not very.
It's a blur, but you know they're there because when you're on a big stage with lights, you really don't see the audience anyway. So there you're standing on the page and you're looking out. Now let's say you left you standing where you are and you backed up 15 or 20 feet and you stood behind yourself and you watched yourself on the stage giving a presentation. And let's say you watched yourself walk to the left or walk to the right and talk to people. And let's say you watched the interaction you had with people. That's two visions. Let's say you decided that you had the ability to be on top of a boom camera that would hang over the stage, and you could be on top of the stage looking down on yourself giving a presentation. And so now you can see the top of your head, you can see the top of the audience's head, you're way up there and you're looking down, and you can see everybody. And then you can hear you talking about what, and you can see people nodding that they understand what you say. And with all of that, what you need to do is take all of those images and burn them into a DVD that's in your brain. And any time you want to think about it, and you're going to be surprised to notice that you're thinking about this picture more and more the closer you get to the event, that you'll hear yourself talking and you'll see yourself talking and you'll be able to do it.
Okay.
Now,
Right.
you could either come here and give one presentation after another, after another, after another, or you can practice the presentation, which I'm sure you do, but you can go over and watch this presentation over and over and over again. And when you're on a plane, you can do it when you're flying to Chicago. You can see yourself giving a presentation.
Yes, I will try. I will do it.
Well, you know the thing about trying, right?
Yes.
Have you ever seen that example about trying? Try to pick my card up there.
Yes, I know.
Oh, you know that one?
Yes,
Okay.
I know. I will do it. That's right.
Good.
That's why just after I said
Yeah.
I will do it.
Right. Okay. But so I mean, you have, I think you have that. I mean, you have that down for what you can do. But the question is, does it work? Yeah, it works. Definitely works.
I'm sure. Okay, yes. Um, I read something about children. You wrote a book about children. Can
Yes.
you talk about this book?
Yes, I have a copy of that book with me. I discovered back in the 80s that parents had a tremendous amount of difficulty explaining death to their children. When somebody in the family died, parents didn't know what to say to their kids. They didn't want to hurt their kids. They didn't want to impact their children negatively, but they needed a way to communicate with their children. So I devised a way. I was teaching it at College of Physicians and Surgeons here in New York, which to doctors and nurses and that, as just a way to help parents do something that was extraordinarily difficult. And that book is called How Do We Tell the Children? It's a guide to helping parents explain death to kids. That was the first edition. The second edition was it included helping parents talk to children when somebody in the family was dying. And then the third and fourth editions had to do with traumatic loss, when somebody was killed in a battle or a plane crash or something like that, something that was unexpected. And that was, fortunately, 5 stars or 4 stars on Amazon since 1986. It's called How Do We Tell the Children? And it's the same concept with that book that I have with the current book. Because I knew it was very difficult for people to read that kind of a book, I put a crisis section in the book, some small gray pages, that people could get almost everything they needed in a crisis by just reading 4 or 5 pages. The same thing I tell people about this book is not to read the book, to go down the table of contents and to read what's in the table of contents, and your subconscious mind will tell you what you should read next. The back of this book has a section called, it's the beginning of our next book, which is called Money and Mistakes. I believe that it's important today for people to realize that people who do what we do really includes helping people avoid very, very costly mistakes and errors. And that's the focus of why I do all this. I do this because I love to see people win, and because I get to take the ride.
Yes.
You know, and it's very diverse. It's all over the place.
I have a last question for you. It is I have 2 last questions for you. Very short questions, and you give me just 1 sentence. What is your favorite quote?
My favorite quote?
Yes.
Stay out of trouble.
Okay. And what is your favorite book?
My favorite book?
Yes.
My favorite book is a book by Dorothy Leeds called Smart Questions.
Smart question.
Yes.
Okay.
It helps prepare people. It helps people to prepare to compete.
Okay. What was the decision you took in the past that made a change in your life?
The decision to constantly redefine myself. Because I've had people who were in their 20s say to me, Dan, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. And I said, I feel the same way, and I'm 72. I don't know what I want to do when I grow up.
And what is your favorite success that where you are proud of?
I've got a lot of them. I'm very proud of the people who I've helped to win and to get what they want.
Okay.
I mean, you know, so it's, and you know, I'm very, very fortunate. People only come to me when they want to win. They have the desire to do something different. They want to be different than other people. They want to do something. They want to think differently, act differently, behave differently. and whether it's a company or an individual who runs a company, and they want to win. And so I get the opportunity to work with people who are driven. I don't have to convince them to win. They just want to win, and they want the tools to do it. And they know that what they have right now has worked well up to now, but the bar gets raised. That's the big issue today, is people are really good at what they do, a lot of people. And they hit a plateau and nothing happens. They don't change. And the bar got raised, and they didn't know that it got raised. So it's always important to understand where the bar is. Are you playing on a level playing field? Are things what you think they are? Is everything the way you think it looks? Sometimes not. So it's how do you take control of that? And that's the kind of stuff I do. But somebody asked me, "Am I going to retire?" I said, "From what? I'm having more fun doing this." I mean, I've gotten to travel throughout the world. I've met people in 16 countries I've worked with. I got people in France that I've worked with, in England, Singapore, Southeast Asia, and it's just been a trip. But I'll go and I'll speak to an executive leadership development, and while I'm there, he says, "Come here, can you help me with my golf game?" Both things at the same time.
Yes.
I was in Geneva with a woman who was a client, and we were at the airport, and she said, I'm uncomfortable flying home. I'm not comfortable flying. So I said, what if I could make the flight faster and easier, and you'll be much more comfortable? So we sat at the bar, and I did some hypnosis, and she got on a plane, and she wrote me back. She says, "It's fantastic."
It's a good reward for you.
It is. I love it.
I have a last question. It is a weird question, so my goal is to inverse the way I can teach people. So my question is how to become a loser, okay? And the goal is to build a video with the best keys to become a loser with each expert. It's a funny video, okay? To touch people differently in what they don't have to do, okay? So do you understand what I mean?
That's my next book.
It's funny.
That's my next book.
Okay, so it's perfect. So
why? Tell me why you think that will work. Why do you think that will be so successful? Because I know why. Why do you think that'll be so successful?
I am sure it will. When I had the idea in my home, I have had the eyes very open, and I'm sure it is a great idea.
I know it's a great idea.
And why? Because in saying what they don't have to do, they will listen more, because it's them. I am describing what they do, but I'm not saying what they don't have to do. I have some difficulties to explain what I am.
But I know what you're doing. But there's an invisible dynamic that works with everybody who retains me to work with them. And the invisible dynamic is called short-term discomfort versus long-term regret.
Yes, I love this principle.
Right. I may not want to deal with you now, but what I really, really don't want is to be in 2018 looking backwards saying, boy, I wish I dealt with him then. And that's the objective that you have when you get up and talk to your groups of people. We may not want to hire him now, but we don't want to wish we did. And there are ways to create that in conversations with people when you talk to them. It's the foundation of every sales pitch. So the reason I think that have you heard the 30-second elevator speech? Have you ever heard that 30-second elevator speech that people in this country practice describing their business in 30 seconds?
Yes, I know what is an elevator speech.
Okay, good. Everybody's talking about 30 seconds. You don't have 30 seconds. You only have 6 seconds. Because in 6 seconds, the person you're talking to, their mind glazes over. Just glazes over and they're gone. So how quickly can you get your message across? You have to get your message across in 6 seconds. And when somebody says to me, what do I do, depending on who I'm talking to, certainly not you because we're in the same field here, but I would say to somebody, you know, I go out in the elevator here on the 22nd floor. So I'll get in the elevator and I'll say to somebody, hi, how you doing today? What do you do? The guy will tell me what he does. Then he said, what do you do? And I said, it's funny, I sell mistakes. You tell somebody you sell mistakes, nobody will ever walk away from you. They went, what do you mean you sell mistakes? What? I said, well, you know.
The fact you said me don't read this book, it increases the wants.
Yeah, it means it increases the desire to read it.
The desire to read it, it's funny.
Right, right. Well, but you know, but the reality, and that could be a sales pitch for somebody, but that's not with me with this. I'm very serious.
Okay.
You're gonna trust me that you just go down a table of contents, and what you want to deal with will leap right off that page. What you have to deal with tomorrow, or maybe even the next interview, bang, there you are. It's right there.
Mm.
So, you know, I only do what works. I don't have the time to play around. You know, I've done all my experimenting with everything. I know, you know, and I know this stuff works. And I know the people. I just left a meeting right across the street with 25 business people. And we meet every 2 weeks to help refer people to somebody else and connect people up to other people. It's a whole networking, business networking concept. I don't know whether they have that in France, but it is an amazing thing to develop a business doing that, you know. But I have probably 8 people out of the 22 who have been my clients and currently are my clients, and the people around the table will never thank me for me helping them, because they deal with some very sensitive things within their company and with other people they're dealing with, and they don't want to give that away. And since most of the people in the room know what I do, they don't want to make the connection between me and them, and that's okay. If you look at my card, there's a confidential sounding board on the card. That's a covert practice for people who are at the very top of their game. And I got people in Australia, a couple of people in Kuala Lumpur, one guy in Paris, another guy in Canada. He's in a very difficult thing running his company. And people at the top of their game want somebody at their back to help them when something comes in. Because when you're at the very top, you don't have anybody you can trust to talk to. Nobody. Who do you talk to? If you talk to your vice president or your CFO, he may be after your job. I have a woman who's a client of mine who's in Washington. Very high position. She'll only talk to me. She won't talk to anybody else. Because you have to be careful who you talk to.
Yes.
You have to be careful. You have to be careful who you talk to. And so I have a speed dial system where, you know, somebody will call up. First of all, I'm not a therapist. I don't do psychotherapy. I say to people, put me on speed dial. And when something comes into your mind that's going on, pick the phone up and call me. I want to hear you say, this is going to happen, what should we do? Rather than, I just did this, was it okay? Because I don't want people to make mistakes. It costs too much money. It does. I have a whole system to change the culture of a company from a management culture to a coaching culture. Cool stuff. Did it 10 years ago with Hewlett-Packard, certain people with Hewlett-Packard. They're never going to talk about it because they're able to manage so many more people, takes their handcuffs off, all kinds of stuff.
So I would like to know your keys about how to become a loser. And according to you, how to become a loser? What we have to do to become a loser?
Well, here's what I'd like you to do, is that...
Your best advice is, it's very important for me to help people to lose.
Well, my best advice is you tell me where you want to be in 2018. Give me the top 10 things that you've seen your client, the top 10 mistakes that you've seen your clients make before they became your client. You don't have to tell me. I'm going to send you my list.
Yes.
But what you want to, and you see, what I would like you to do is I'd like you to write these up, send them to me, and I'll include them in our next book.
Yes, maybe the mistake they did was to not take a decision.
Yeah.
Not take a decision. Wait for the best moment.
Right, okay. I'll just wait a minute. You know, I'm not going to decide today, I'm going to decide tomorrow. It feels right, but I'm not sure. I'm going to go ask my friend. When I send you the list, you'll see the whole list. I mean, it's a big list. And people love this. They absolutely love it. You go back to your audiences and you ask them to do this. They'll send you all the stuff you want or interview you. Interview them. You want to put it on video. But it's not the mistakes they made, because I won't tell you. It's the mistakes their clients made before they became their client. I have a law firm that I consult with here in the city. And I said to the guy, you need to change from a management culture into a coaching culture. Which means you come to work for me, I say to you, okay, we have this project. Rather than tell you what to do, I say to you, take a look at the project, go home, come in tomorrow and tell me how you're going to handle this. Then I have to shut up and I have to let you explain it to me. That's the first part. The second part, I'll say, okay, what do you need to do? Is there anything you can think of that will get in your way of getting this done when it's supposed to be done? Yes, no, you give me what it is. I have to go to a wedding, I can't do it, I have other appointments. And the third thing is, what do you need from me? What do you need from me? Instead of trying to manage you and coming up and saying, are you doing this, or are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? I just say, you need anything from me today? I went to a law firm. Now, I don't know, have you dealt with many lawyers in France? You know, in your audiences, lawyers, they if you're not a lawyer, they don't want to listen to you. So my client, who's paying me,
Yes.
I said to him, you want it? No, he says, you've never run a law firm. So he called me up about a year after I stopped working with them. He said, I have good news and bad news for you. I said, what's the bad news first? Give me the bad news first. He says, the bad news is you're not going to get a percentage of what just happened because I'm paying you. I said, okay. So what's the good news? He said, I just saved $20 million in 20 minutes. I said, how'd you do that? He said, I had a lawyer, a young woman who was going to try a case in court, and it was a $750,000 judgment. So instead of what I normally do, telling her what to do, I said to her, tell me how you're going to handle this. He said, I knew in 2 minutes we were going to lose the case. He said, so by taking the time to ask her what she was going to do, I discovered that we were going to lose. Had I done it the normal way, tell her what to do, she would have done what she was going to do anyway, and we would have lost the case. Plus, we would have lost the client, who was a major client of ours. It boggles my mind how people don't prepare to compete. I'll use a couple of names. I'll give you a couple of names. In American football, the New York Jets played the Baltimore Colts in the third Super Bowl. That was, you heard Joe Namath? Have you heard the name Joe Namath?
No.
Okay, Joe Namath was a very popular, very successful quarterback, and he made a prediction that they were going to win when they were severe underdogs, and they won the game. Well, in American football, there's a line, and there's one guy that protects people from, protects the defense from coming in to tackle a quarterback. One of the defensemen was a guy by the name of Dave Herman. He was 6'2", 250. Have you ever heard the name Bubba Smith? No. Bubba Smith was an actor. He was a football player. But he was 6'7", 360 pounds. Really huge guy. And I said to Dave Herman, how did you protect Joe Namath from this guy coming to tackle him? He said, I watched game films. I said, what did you watch for? He said, I figured when a guy that big has got to move forward, he's got to be standing on 1 foot just a little bit longer than everybody else. He said, so I never watched the place. I just waited till the foot came off. Because the minute that foot came off the ground, I knew this huge man was standing on only one foot. And I decided that's when I was going to hit him. Here's a guy that has a whole football game to prepare and win the game. And he prepares that way. You run into people all the time, don't prepare for anything. They just show up. Show up and give a presentation. So my feeling is that whether it's your company going forward or what you're going to do with all of this, is preparing to compete. I'd much rather have a conversation with you about how you're going to make all of this happen that you want to have happen, rather than meet 2 years from now and sit at dinner and say, let's figure out why it didn't work. No, let's find out before why it doesn't work. And it's all, to me, it's the psychology, but it's not the product. What's the mindset of the people? That's where we started. What's the mindset of the people who we're talking to? And how do we make that work? How do we make it work? I just left the meeting with a guy who was telling me, he says, why he can't get through to a contractor. He's a contractor, he wants to get through and talk to an architect. He wants to get the architect's business. He gave me 2 or 3 scenarios, and I said to him, the problem is not, it's not what you're talking about. I said, he's already got an architect that he doesn't know how to fire. He can't fire the contractor that he has, or he'd hire you. Got to help him to fire the other contractor. Strategy.
So if you change your strategies, you will have more success in every field.
First of all, you have to say, do I have a strategy? What is the strategy? What's the strategy based on? Is a strategy, and this is why you're going to really enjoy this Smart Questions book by Dorothy Leeds. I'm not kidding you. I've referred that book I've referred it to everybody I've worked with in Europe and Asia as a business book. But it has you ask questions of yourself. But I'll send you some stuff. I'll send you some questions that I have for people who run companies. But you have to get what's most important to you going forward in your business and what you're doing is the answers that you get from this trip here in the United States. The quality of the answers are directly proportional to the quality of the questions.
Questions, yes. If you ask yourself a bad question, you will have a bad answer.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
And so many people just focus on their product. Here's the product. Here's what I do. Here's the product. Rather than the overall picture.
And my last question: how the people can follow you? How the people can follow you now?
Follow me.
Follow you, yes.
Do you mean like blogs and that type of thing?
Yes. I don't know. Maybe we will have athlete, CEO can watch you, and how they can follow you, or contact you.
Well, what I would suggest is that, are you going to post the website names on there?
Yes, I will.
What somebody can do is they can certainly contact me directly by email and engage for conversation with me. I do much better talking to what's going on, particularly if it's a crisis situation in a company, or there's a situation with a family business or something that needs to have happen. They know they can call up with complete confidence and talk to me about what's going on. And we arrange a fee based on whatever we have to do. The other piece is that they can check my website. I expect to be doing a blog soon.
Yes.
But I'm not doing that just yet. So, the best thing to do is to email me, text me, and certainly to get my book. If they want to get my book, they can get the book through contacting me directly.
Mm-hmm.
If there's anybody that would like to talk about an arrangement to have it published in French, we could certainly talk about that.
Yes, I will.
The other thing is that I found that there was tremendous interest in Europe when I was there, and in Asia, about how business is done in the United States. If I were going to France and I wanted to market a product or something in France, I would find somebody who would say to me, Dan, here's what you have to do to get through to the French market. It's the same thing in reverse. I coach and help people with strategy and guide people through how to deal in this market, what you need to do differently. And that's basically what we did with Hewlett Packard, was an international company.
Yes.
There were French guys, French women, who had responsibilities that went beyond France, went beyond their language of France. They were bilingual, they spoke French, they spoke English. And so how to make that work.
Okay.
So if there may be a company that wants to sponsor this in France, be happy to go.
Okay, so thank you very much for all your answers.